You'd never dream that my shop was close to the Wild West. Just 3 blocks from our shop to the north, a cousin has a herd of longhorn cattle. And I don't know, well, I know a little bit about longhorn cattle. They're the ones that the Spanish brought over originally. And were introduced into Mexico and then up into New Mexico 200 years ago or more. And I raised cattle myself. My family had for generations, and there are lots of interesting stories about it. But we sold our herd when I quit farming, and we sold it to the father of the man who has these cattle, my cousin. And I'll show you how the cattle got into this country. It's very interesting. What we call cowboy is the English translation of vaquero. Vaquero. Vaca is cattle in Spanish. Cowboy is a vaquero. So the original people who came with Cortez and then later were some of the poorest, hardest working cowboys in the south central state and Spain. And they brought their ways. They had hats they wore. They had ropes, lariats that they used. Almost everything we think about cowboys is Spanish. And almost all of what's now Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, well, they claimed almost all of Western North America. And for instance, this area here was called Del Norte, and it went all the way from the southern Mexico through Mexico City all the way up to Santa Fe. And it was where the cattle were really introduced in the United States. And somewhere down here in these mountains, my father-in-law had a huge 100,000-acre ranch. You know, you just rent the ranches, land, and it was called. I forget the name of that particular ranch at the moment, but he has another ranch down here near Tucson called the Empire that was very, it had 1,200 cattle and some interesting stories about that. But this whole area here was totally influenced by the Spanish, and it spread to California. There was a lot of cattle in California and all through the West and into Texas. And but the French, continually fought with the Spanish, and they were bordering here in the west of what's now Louisiana, but went all the way to the edge of New Mexico. And this is what it evolved into. All right, here is Arizona as a horizontal state with 2 R's, and we have the Apaches and the Yumas and the Pima Indians and the Cucapas, and anyway, this was Indian country that the Spanish took over, and their capital was Santa Fe, and of this area. One of the oldest cities in the country. But they included a lot of this territory that they went into but did not completely develop. And this is a map that shows this is the New World, Nuevo Mundo, and we have the these are the flags of the various countries at the time. This is the United States. This is 1862, right in the beginning of the Civil War. But this is a map that was made not in the United States, and it had Colombia because of the influence of the Spanish, and Canada, and it's a very interesting thing. Here we have a Mexican flag, and we have lots of other nations from Europe that claim parts of America's. And but cattle were a major factor. And here we have, years and years later, this is 1950 or 52, 49. This is Our America, Backgrounds and Development, and it's about the farm life and ranching and so on. Here's the different machinery and so on. But down here we have, in this area, beef cattle. This is right on the, this is Del Norte, and sheep over here. But this beef was all through this area, very much so in the south. The sheep in the mountainous areas, beef cattle. So the influence of the Spanish introduction of cattle is pretty amazing. Of course, you have oysters here too. That's great. This is just after the World War II. The machinery was beginning to look like it does now. But I'm just trying to show that what an influence in the long term this particular group of Spanish who raised cattle in southern Spain and were poor, and they were the first people to come over, and they were also some of the most brave, wild, and hardy people around. So they managed to settle the Southwest.